Introduced in 19th centuries, Protestantism would officially breach and build its first establishments in Da Nang in 1911 by clergymen of Christian and Missionary Alliance. By 1954, Protestantism in Vietnam had about 60,000 followers, more than 100 pastors and missionaries. Up to 1975, the number of followers increased to about 200,000, with more than 500 dignitaries, over 20 organizations and denominations. Protestant activities in Vietnam would unravel after 1975, but recover after 1980s. Rapidly developed in the ethnic minorities in Central Highlands and the Northern Mountainous regions. By 2005, there were over 1 million Protestant followers in Vietnam. Protestant followers in Vietnam, regardless of being converted prior to 1975 in recent times, belonging to King or ethnic minorities in Northwest and Central Highlands, being either farmer or intellectuals, as a big force with green religious belief, feelings and demand for religious practice, which needs to be cared. Understanding of Protestantism and state management on Protestant affairs by authority varies at the time. In those circumstances, some Protestant affairs were abused and distorted by hostile forces, with accusations that Vietnam violated democracies and human rights in order to impose pressures on Vietnam. It can be said that the newly issued Ordinance on Belief and Religions reflected the unity in understanding and state affairs on religions in general and Protestantism in particular. To realize party and state guidelines and policies related in the constitutions, the resolution from Central Party and the Ordinance on the Belief and Religion in the New Realities. On February the 5th, 2005, Prime Minister issued Instruction number 012005 CTTTGs on some tasks regarding Protestantism. To implement the instruction, the Government Committee for Religious Affairs has collaborated with functioning bodies in provinces and central cities in making specific plans for each region and area. The Instruction number 1 by Prime Minister is an important document on guidelines and tasks regarding Protestantism and with basic content for solving Protestant issues in the new reality in Vietnam. The tasks regarding Protestant organization recognized as legal entity by the state, as prescribed in the instruction, will be implemented like the other religions. It means that whatever content contained in existing framework could be precisely applied to Protestant organization mentioned above. The second content is that Protestant organization not yet recognized organizationally, having held religious activities normally and stably, will be registered and recognized according to the Ordinance on Belief and Religions. The third area or the third content in the Instruction number 1 by Prime Minister prescribed on Protestant activities in Central Highlands, with guidelines to speed up the normalization on Protestant activities in Central Highlands by registering religious activities of meeting places with local government and recognizing their local churches. The fourth area is the Northern Mountainous regions, where number of Hmong, Dao, and other ethnic minorities follow Protestantism.
This region is different from the Central Highlands in respect to the fact that Protestantism here has newly developed and not practiced stably. Thus, according to the instruction number 1 by Prime Minister, where people can normally and stably practice their religions, especially at homes, such practicing places would be eligible to be registered with local government.
Our party and state always respect and guarantee the right to freedom of belief and religions of religious or non-religious people. Regarding Protestantism, Vietnamese state respect the diversity of Protestantism in Vietnam, provide instruction and support for Protestant organization, and seeks to establish a progressive orientation of operation which ensure social cohesion and contribute to political stability and country development. Specifically, the instruction number 1 raised several tasks regarding Protestantism. Firstly, to properly carry out economic, cultural, and social development programs, ensuring people material and spiritual life, and creates conditions for Protestant followers to stay attracted to communities, become more and more fruitfully involved in economic, cultural, and social activities, actively contributing to the cause of national construction and defense. Simultaneously put Protestant practice into order and in accordance with the laws. Encourage every dignitaries and followers to live according to the gospel in the service of God, the homeland, and the nation. Secondly, the Protestant organization recognized by the state, such as the Evangelical Church of Vietnam in Northern, the Evangelical Church of Vietnam Southern. The state created favorable conditions for this organization to conduct religious activities in accordance with the Charter, regulation of the Church and state law. These religious activities include religious practice by followers, dignitaries, transferring of dignitaries, printing and publication of religious scripture, upgrading religious establishment, charities, and international relations with Protestant organizations overseas. Thirdly, for Protestant organizations not yet recognized as legal entities, having operated in Vietnam prior to 1975 and carrying out purely religious activities, if meeting sufficient conditions prescribed in the Ordinance on Belief and Religions, those organizations could be permitted to convene the general councils for approval of the charter and election of the church management body proceeding to state recognitions of legal status. Protestant sects which have not met sufficient conditions as stipulated by the law could be helped to register for religious practices with the communal or gross authorities if genuine religious need is seen. Fourthly, for ethnic minority in Central Highlands following Protestantism, continue to consider and recognize chapter of Evangelical Church of Vietnam Southern and create favorable conditions for them to build worshiping places, organize training courses, and give instruction to recognize chapter in their religious affairs according to the law. Fifthly, for ethnic minority groups in the Northern Mountainous region who just adopted Protestantism, proper instruction could be provided on the basis of their genuine need so that they can register religious practice in a suitable place in their villages according to regulation of law. Sixthly, to combat resolutely abuse of Protestantism, to incite and lure people, some division among the nation, and conduct activities against the countries, to publicly notify people of those abuse Protestantism and violate the law at the same time, strictly prohibit and severely punish individuals coercing people to renounce or follow Protestantism. Functional sectors could work together to thoroughly grasp and fully implement the party guidelines and state law on belief, religions, and policies for Protestantism, aimed at creating consistencies and synchronisms in the implementation of the task regarding Protestantism. With awareness that the task regarding Protestantism is both new and difficult, understanding of Protestantism and the task regarding Protestantism in the political system were still inconsistent. So one of the especially important tasks is to thoroughly grasp the policies in the new situation. This task is attached to the process of grasping and implementing the resolution of Central Party, the 7th sessions on religious affairs, and the ordinance on belief and religions. Through various activities such as training conference, seminar, discussion, and propaganda on mass media, many stakeholders in local authorities have understood the instruction number 1 and Protestantism in Vietnam. The instruction was translated into languages of ethnic minorities such as Ba Na, Zarais, Ede, Serang, Hmong, etc., as well as disseminated to followers and people on mass media, thus creating fundamental and comprehensive changes in the political system and social consensus. The evangelical churches, recognized by the state, had reinforced their organization and operated in the progressive way, contributed to social cohesion, and brought a positive influence on Protestant organization and sect in Vietnam. Especially in 2011, the Northern Evangelical Church of Vietnam and the Southern Evangelical Church of Vietnam jointly held solemn anniversaries celebrating 100 years of Protestantism in Vietnam, with the participation of tens of thousands of followers, dignitaries, and foreign guests in Da Nang, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh cities, thus improving the two churches' practice inside and outside the countries. At the same time, other Protestant organizations also organized 100 years founding anniversaries in various ways. Protestant organizations and sects not yet recognized have been entrusted to proceed registration and recognition in accordance with the law. Up to now, the state has been recognized legal status and approved operation registration for 9 Protestant organizations. To be encouraged in the process of organizational recognition, all of Protestant organizations themselves have defined the progressive orientation of action, stay closely attached to the nation, comply with the law, and integrated into Vietnamese cultures. There are about 500,000 followers of 31 Protestant denominations and organizations and house church set in Central Highlands. Representatives brought here are reinforced according to the charter of the Evangelical Church in Vietnam Southern. Many recognized charters have received local government assistance in the construction, repair, and upgrade of the churches. Dozens of ministers, commissioned ministers, and evangelists from ethnic minority groups have studied in the Institute for Biblical and Theological Studies. After completing the training and studying process, the dignitaries with high level of knowledge in the field of theology, culture, and law will instruct their followers to implement religious practice according to the state law. Here they study basic domains of the church on Mondays, learn how to gossip ghost from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Wednesdays, learn to sing on Fridays, and on Saturdays, they practice rehearsal to sing for gossiping God on Sunday. In the process of gossiping gods of Protestants, authorities at all levels create favorable conditions for followers to enjoy freedom of religious practices. In the northern mountainous regions, Protestant groups practice their religion in the fairly stable basis in accordance with the policies of the party and state law, as well as local regulation. Incidents and complaints cases related to Protestantism and tension in villages or conflicts between believers and non-believers hardly appear. There has been a sharp decrease in the number of Hmong immigrants. The Protestant groups are open and cooperative with the local government. Here we are very happy. On Sunday, we learn to sing, listen to hymn and God's word. Local culture told us about bad people whom we will not trust anymore. We believe in our party and state. The instruction number 1 had made people legitimate need for religious practice, guided Protestants' activities toward progressive way, encouraged followers and dignitary trust in party policy and state law. Simultaneously improve Vietnam image as seen by overseas individuals and organizations. Positive changes regarding Protestantism have brought an important contribution to religious picture in Vietnam, making Vietnam image more beautiful in the mind and hearts of friends all over the world.